Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today I welcome you all, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. So yeah, obviously we're talking about Disney's newest live-action movie based off one of the rides with the new Haunted Mansion movie, which just came out last Friday, and I'll just say this, it's a lot better than the 2003 one. It's a lot better than that one. But the basic plot of this follows a family moving into the titular haunted mansion, and after they figure out, well, it's a haunted mansion, they call in a paranormal photographer, not really investigator, more of a photographer, to see if he could fix the problem. And when that goes wrong, a lot more people get involved. And eventually it devolves into a whole thing where they have to figure out what ghost is truly causing all the haunting. So, I'm just going to say this movie isn't perfect, and I'll get into why later, but off the top, I'll say it is a very fun and enjoyable movie. Like, I liked this and enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. Especially considering, the 2003 one was, bad. But this film does take the Haunted Mansion and really makes it more, this movie feels more like the ride than the other one did. And I think I said what this movie is best after I left the theater, saying that it's basically as if Disney had made Poltergeist. I that is exactly verbatim what I said when we left the theater that night. And honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate that it felt like that. Now, is the movie scary? Well, as someone who's seen some horrid things, no. And also, it's a Disney movie. They can't make it too scary. But as a little kid kind of PG horror movie, it might definitely scare some of the little kids. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Little kids need to watch movies that frighten them. Remember all the stuff Disney and other companies did in the 80s? All the scary movies that came out then that were for kids? It's nice to see Disney trying to make something more like that again, but so I definitely think for little kids it might definitely frighten them, but well, yeah, let's get into all the points. The acting, I think every single cast member really does do their best with what they're given, especially Owen Wilson and Danny DeVito. Both of them steal the show here. Now, is Owen Wilson's dialogue as funny as when he's playing Hansel in Zoolander? No, but it's definitely a lot better than most Owen Wilson performances. So he's definitely a lot funnier here than he is in some other things. And Danny DeVito, who doesn't think Danny DeVito isn't funny in anything he's in? That dude is always hilarious in everything he's in. So of course he's gonna be funny in this. And I know, and Jared Leto is in this, and I'm not the biggest fan of that guy. One, because most of the movies he's in suck, and two, dude's kind of a creep. But his portrayal of Hatbox Ghost, which is the villain of this movie, wasn't actually that bad. He did pretty good for that. Probably because I couldn't tell it was Jared Leto the whole time, but So yeah, all the acting in this is really good. Again, the comedy is pretty well handled too. But that leads into my first negative with the film, in that it has a very distinct tone problem. Where sometimes it wants to be dramatic and more emotional, and sometimes more spoopy, scary. But then you have scenes that are more comedic and lighthearted, and doesn't really mesh together that well. Sometimes the transitions are okay, but most of the time the tonal transitions aren't great, and it can kind of take you out of the movie in some aspects. So that was a noted problem, is that the tonal transitions were not great, and all in all, it just had a very the tone of the movie was very, like, jumbled and all that. But it didn't really derail my enjoyment that much. It was just a thing I noticed. Another thing that I really liked was the ghost effects, which it's mostly CG, but I will admit there are some nice practical stuff with the ghosts. But it is kind of covered up by a little too much CG. But the thing I really like about the ghost effects is that they feel campy. But not campy as in, like, dumb or goofy, but campy in the good way that harkens back to those older 80s horror movies that I love so much. Like the aforementioned Poltergeist, Creepshow, stuff like that. Because I love those movies, and the ghost effects and the whole feel of this movie really does harken back to those older 80s horror movies. So it's both a pro and a con, because I wish there were more practical effects with the ghosts, but I still like the way they look in the movie. So, another thing I really like about this movie is also a lot of the stuff they do with the mansion itself, where they make the mansion feel more alive. Well, I guess undead in this case, but they really make the mansion feel more mobile. I mean, because, like, they'll actually have rooms and stuff shift around, and, like, the layout of the house can become completely different. That's something that they didn't really do much in the 2003 one, probably because they didn't have the budget or the effects at the time to do it. And two, I can't remember exactly if the ride does anything like that. It's been a while since I've ridden the Haunted Mansion ride itself, but I really do like the effect of them, like, switching up the layout of the house itself at points, like having rooms leading to different places. Of course, the infamous scene of the main room stretching upwards, they do that in this movie as well. But they also do an extra part with that main room, because in the ride in that main room there's pictures that become more distorted and demented the further the room stretches, showing, well, how a lot of the people in the pictures died or something like that. But in the scene where they're in that room and the pictures stretch, the floor becomes the sections of those paintings showing how the people died. Like, one has TNT, one has quicksand, one has gators. And I think that's a really cool addition to it. And there are a few more things like that, but I kind of wish they kind of went further with some more aspects, because there's a lot more references to the ride in this movie that they kind of just don't really do much with, or they just have it and that's it. But then you have the stretch room, and they do a lot more with it, and I kind of wish they did that with all the other ride references, was they took it a bit further. But yeah, all in all, I think this film is really good. It was a nice needed levity after some other previous Disney movies that I really didn't care for. But yeah, I'd say I'd give Disney's new Haunted Mansion movie a solid 80%. Again, it's not perfect. It has some tone issues, and it has a bit too much comedic jokes, especially in terms of modern comedic jokes. I think there's a bit too many of those, but and I do wish they went a bit further with some of the other Haunted Mansion-esque stuff, like went further with some of the more references to the ride. But yeah, I definitely would recommend seeing this in theaters, because from what I'm reading, it's not doing too well right now. So I definitely recommend seeing in theaters, giving it a bit more support, because this movie was actually pretty good for what it was. I mean, is it better than the Pirates movies? I wouldn't say that, but it's definitely better than the old Haunted Mansion movie. And yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this review on Disney's The Haunted Mansion. Like if you did, and subscribe to join my content, and I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.